white people, whatever whites are listening, the problem is when someone is checking you, which is Sherry did, like, she was very calm in her delivery and everything. However,
which we have to acknowledge that as well.
Oh yeah, that's a whole nother. That's a conversation as far as the perception of black women.
We're gonna get there.
We'll
we're gonna get
deep
there.
dive.
Yes.
I want to say, as far as white people, this is specifically to you because I feel like this is Sharon's issue. As a white woman who may not want to identify as racist, when you are friends or you have family members, clearly your whole ancestry is built upon racism. When someone is sitting here trying to explain racism to you, or someone that you're connected to is racist, what essentially happens is you're sitting here sticking up for someone that is a part of that. So even if you don't want to feel like you're a racist, as soon as you stick up for someone that is, essentially that's what you're doing. You're doubling down on the fact that people that you are specifically connected to are racist. And guess what? When they get called out about it, you don't go to educate them. You go to defend them. And that is the problem. It's the same problem if someone is accused of rape. Okay, I get it. That's your brother. I'm not going to say who, but I get it. That's your brother. But you defending them, it makes you almost just as guilty. You have to sit here. And when she asked to be educated, she said, didn't educate me. Almost to where, no one could educate you because you're so in defense. And again, back to the idea of just white people wanting to feel oppressed. The idea that you're really going to sit here and act like you don't understand what racism is, or how someone can view you as a racist, or why you sticking up for a racist is a problem. Girl.
The clip that I saw, she was asking, so what did he say that was racist?
Yeah.
Right? That's what you were referring to? Yeah. She was asking because she didn't understand, I guess,
But
how...
no, she wasn't asking. She said, educate me then. Tell me. Her voice and her demeanor. And then also said... And then told the black woman who sat across from her after she demanded to be educated, she said, and before you talk, don't bring your tears. Don't start crying. And it immediately...
Which, by the way, if that was a black woman who told a white woman not to cry, do you know, number one, the tears would have been flowing. Oh, the white tears.
Oh, Karen.
Oh, the white tears for Karen and Sharon, the white tears.
No, but I like the response that, she said to her, that it wasn't that he said racist things, but that he, defended. What'd she say? She
defended his freedom of speech.
Yeah.
There's a number.
No. What Sherry said.
Oh,
Cheryl.
Sorry. So Cheryl came back and pretty much said exactly what she said it way more eloquently.
Yeah.
But it was the fact that you are defending someone right now who is defending racists.
Yeah.
In almost saying he doesn't believe Meghan Markle and her experience.
Well, but it's got less to do with with not believing Meghan Markle's experience, right? I watched this interview a couple times, and I think the two of them were trying to make two different points at the same time, and that's why it escalated the way that it did, right? Which is the same is the problem right now with how easily everybody gets triggered, because sometimes the issue that's at hand gets missed because we get fixated on one thing.
Yeah.
So like Sharon Osbourne is defending the fact that Pierce is not a racist because he doesn't believe Meghan Markle really had the mental and emotional breakdown that she had. That's not what made him racist.
Yeah, that's
what made him racist was his defense of the white victimization that happens around Kate Middleton, that happens around the Queen, that happens around everyone else that's white who's never complained about anything, any treatment from Meghan Markle that's been abusive or offensive in any way, really.
Yeah.
And so that's where the racism part comes in. The unfortunate thing about this exchange on national television is the fact that, number one, if the roles were reversed and this was Cheryl having a complete meltdown and getting defensive, she would have been fired. There would have been no further conversation surrounding canceled episodes until we investigate and figure out. No, she would have been canned. So we can discuss that, and don't argue with me. Argue with your mother about that one.
Argue with your mammy.
The other thing that is upsetting is that there are a lot of white people that need education. That earnestly and honestly
they do
need an education, right? Sharon Osbourne in this moment really doesn't need an education. She needs a glass of water and a pacifier. Just be quiet. Just sit down and be quiet. Get your shit off as respectfully as you can because you're having a breakdown. Collect yourself and then be quiet. the hard part about these types of situations being publicized the way they are is that there are a lot of white people that need to learn and be educated, and it's not going to come from Google. The one thing I saw all over social media in response to this is that Black people are always saying it's not our job to educate white people. There's Google.
No,
I want you to find me a white person who's even remotely woke, and have them send you a list of resources that involve Google that let them know how to handle and appropriately address racism in any capacity, because that's not where it comes from. It comes from experience and interaction with people.
Life experience.
So I mean, and I'm willing to die on that hill because I see it all the time where it's like, well, it's not, Black people are tired. Rightfully so, justifiably so. But at the same token, there are still some white people that are genuinely confused and befuddled by racism. And we have to stop treating that as if it's not an approachable situation and just leave people with their ignorance. Sharon Osbourne is willingly ignorant. We're watching it. We're watching it in real time. She's
100%.
willingly ignorant. But there are some white people that really don't have a fucking clue because they've had no real interaction with anybody of color for most of their existence.
But when you have people who don't have people of color in their circle, it's really hard for them to understand, relate, and get the education or, experience at all.
And it's not anyone's job. I'm not saying that it's anybody's job, but any white woke person that I know didn't get woke from another white person.
Another white person.
Right.
Another white person didn't sit them down and be like, hey, you can't touch a Black person's hair. That's not appropriate.
Yeah.
White people aren't having those conversations amongst themselves.
That's really true.
They're just not. And it's
Well, and I'll say in the same way that Cheryl almost felt like she couldn't respond is the same way, honestly, there's a lot of places in which it's hard for us to educate. Like I've been in a space, like even when I worked at Goldman, I came back from Africa and my coworker was like, oh, but I thought you would have came back darker.
Holy shit.
Swear to God, that's what was said at my job. Or when I came in with braids, the lady I worked with wanted to share how the Jamaican babysitter put braids in her daughter's hair. And it was just like...
But you know what? That's funny
those
that
are conversations where I'm not gonna lie, I didn't know how to even check them in that space.
Yeah.
So I get what you're saying as far as educating, but there's also
that's still an example of someone that's not really interested in being educated, right?
Okay.
Like maybe 2 years ago, Lady Gaga tweeted something in the midst of some sort of protest and was like, to all of my Black friends, I don't know I don't know what role to play in being an ally. Please, teach me how to do this. Walk me through this.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that was an honest request for help, right? And for assistance in understanding how to be an asset in that kind of an environment and situation where you don't have any real relationships with anybody of color. So you really need an entry point into the conversation.
I'll be honest with you, Bridget. Outside of that, my mom raised 3 Black girls. And there's been a conversation now, especially being raised by a white woman.
Yes.
When Black Lives Matter happened, my sister didn't want her to go march because she felt like she was white. She shouldn't march. And I had to have the conversation with my sister, especially because my mom does understand. She raised 3 Black women.
My mom has a Black Lives Matter activist group that meets every Friday and protests outside every Friday.
I love it.
My white mom and her white friends
I love it.
are outside with signs, honk for Black Lives Matter.
Yeah. I mean, but I'll be fair too. It was frustrating to me even when I had those conversations in corporate, even about my hair and how I could wear my hair at work. There was a frustration with not being able to have that conversation with my mom. Then my mom, her being in the hospital, she understood my frustration. She gave the phone to her coworker who is Mexican. I said, Mom, no. She's not going to understand my hair struggle
either. It's a different plight because it's a different plight.
It's a whole different plight. That is not a plight,
but it's a different plight.
It's a whole different plight.
Which is funny because we know where y'all moms stand. And I know y'all have family that are still white. So how do y'all have that conversation? How do you navigate that conversation?
A lot of my family will not engage.
I was about to say, a lot of my family stopped talking to me.
But do you feel responsible to get them to engage? Or do you disengage because it's like, you know what, fuck you, you don't see it, you're ignorant, so let me fall back.
It's not really a fuck you. It's just I know where to keep you now. I mean, my cousin during the protest in Los Angeles, my cousin had just opened a small business on in West Hollywood on Beverly or Melrose, one of those streets, and it was like in a strip mall kind of thing, and the area was being vandalized during protests with people that were claiming to be Black Lives Matter supporters, and he was sending me video footage like, well, this is why the message gets skewed is because looters and vandals are doing this kind of shit. These degenerates are ruining the message, and I was like, what is your actual concern? And he's like, well, my actual concern is, why do small businesses have to suffer? Why do we have to? And I said, do we have this same energy towards police officers who kill unarmed Black people? Mm-hmm. And it was radio silence. And I said, okay, then he's like, I don't want this to cause a wedge. And I was like, bro, that is the wedge. Yeah. If you don't have that same level of outrage for Black people being killed in the street, period, that you have for fucking windows that, by the way, you don't own. Can I just also say that?
Your insurance.
You're leasing this property.
Yeah.
You're defensive of property that you don't even own, but you don't have that same level of outrage as a human being towards another human being who's being killed. Yep. Mm-hmm. Then we really don't have anything to talk about. And I have no problem never speaking to anybody in my family on the white side that doesn't agree with me.
Yeah.
And
that's where I'm at.
That's where my mother's at too. It's like, at the end of the day, if I have children, my children are going to be Black.
Yeah.
So if my children are Black, who's to say? Will you get in front of a police officer and my child if the push comes to shove? Probably not. So we really don't have anything to talk about.